Welcome to the BANFF World Media Festival. Your session is about to begin.
Oh, there we go. Hi, my name's Barbara Williams, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Content at Shaw Media, and we're enormously proud to be the sponsor of the conversation today with Christine Baranski. Christine has had just an extraordinary award-winning career on film, on television, on the stage. It's a long, long list, and I won't go through it all, but just think of this quick run of titles, from Big Bang Theory to Ugly Betty to Psych to Sybil to Law and Order to The Ghost Whisperer to Chicago to Mamma Mia, a whole host of TV movies. It's just extraordinary. But of course, what we are loving her for the most right now is the fantastic role she plays as the partner of the law firm on The Good Wife. She plays Diane Lockhart. And it's a show, I was saying to Christine backstage, so many of us will stand up and declare it is the best crafted, most beautifully written, wonderfully directed, and incredibly well acted television show of all on the screen right now, and we're enormously proud to have it on our network. And Christine plays Diane Lockhart, a very powerful woman, and in fact it's a series that's full of powerful women when you think of the characters in it, and we love that about them. We love that they are the leaders of that firm and they are making things happen. And we also love, dare I say, their wardrobes, because you know, when you think of what Juliana Margulies wears, and when you think about what Christine Baranski wears, like, oh my gosh, they are outstanding. I think if I could be professional about it, I can say that each of their wardrobes are created very distinctly for their characters. You'd never mix them up. Christine would never wear one of Juliana's jackets. Juliana would never wear one of Christine's suits. But I just can't choose which one I want. But, you know, nice problems to have. May I please welcome now to the stage Christine Baranski and our moderator for our conversation today.
Is this okay? Okay, great, thank you.
Good morning, or good afternoon. It's the afternoon today. Christine Baranski this week adds the Lifetime Achievement Award here at the BANFF World Media Festival to an incredible list of accolades, which include being a 2-time Tony, Emmy, and SAG Award winner, among many other awards and nominations. And as Barbara said, she of course portrays the character Diane Lockhart on CBS's The Good Wife, which we all know and love. But a Lifetime Achievement Award, that is saying something. And I have to say, I loved, Christine, reading in your bio about what sounded like a really magical year in your career, in the same year that you had a big hit, a big breakout role on the stage. You won a Tony, a Drama Desk Award. You got married and had a child, all in the same one year, right? That's just not usually how big careers start out at all, right?
Yeah,
was there something
it was a coming together, but it was actually not my first breakout hit. I'd actually been working for many years. I graduated from the Juilliard School in 1974, and finally, after years of doing theater, mostly regional theater and off-Broadway and off-Broadway, I was cast in a Broadway show directed by Mike Nichols, written by Tom Stoppard and starring Jeremy Irons, Glenn Close, and I always refer to that experience as like flying to Paris on the Concorde. It was just the level of talent and the way it was done. Mike Nichols was just the most extraordinary man to work with. And but I had gotten married a week before rehearsal started. Came to rehearsal just after a week-long honeymoon. The play opened. It was a gigantic hit. By December, my husband had knocked me up. I didn't say anything to anybody because I was wearing these beautiful tailored clothes, and I had to wear a silk robe with, you know, nothing underneath in one scene. But as the months went on of playing in this hit show, I started getting awfully voluptuous. And anyway, by the time we all won Tonys for that show, the play won, Jeremy, Glenn, and I won Tony Awards. By the time I accepted that Tony Award, I was 6 months pregnant. And so yeah, it was a year where I got married, had a baby, and a Tony all in 1 year. And that was, I always refer to that as the kind of sine qua non of experiences, but not all years are that rich.
Well, but since then, you really have gone on consistently to work in stage, film, television, and yet many actors experience over the course of their career, they have their slow periods, they get hot, they get cold, but you really seem to have transitioned throughout different parts of your life very smoothly. And I'm curious what you attribute that, consistency and longevity to. How'd you do it, girl?
Yeah, oh, well, I think I had very, very good training at Juilliard. It emphasized work on characterization so that I didn't rely just on a certain aspect of my personality. We were always in rehearsal for different kinds of plays in different styles. And we were always, I was always playing very, very different kinds of characters, not all sophisticated women, which, is the latter part of my career. I get cast a lot as a certain kind of sophisticated woman. But I was doing Shakespeare, I was doing Shaw, I was doing Moliere, I was doing modern plays, Tennessee Williams. I learned to go from one kind of style to another, one character style to another, one kind of characterization. And so I think I developed a kind of versatility, is what I'm trying to say. And that was very, very good.
It's kind of like diversifying your portfolio. You can
yeah,
go
and I don't
a lot
think
of
I was
different-
ever afraid of, okay, now I'm going to jump over to this medium, or now I'm going to try this, or not try that. I didn't feel, I felt that I had a set of skills to try different things. And when people ask me why I was able to be so versatile in my career, I would attribute it to very good training. And I also didn't, curiously, I've been quoted oddly in the press on this, but I don't consider myself unattractive, but I never was an actress that relied on beauty to get work. So I was quirky, I could be cast as the sexy girl, the foxy girl, the skinny, eccentric best friend, but I was never like the leading lady. And that, curiously, can work in your favor as the years go on, because you can be the leading lady for X number of years and then suddenly not be that. And you're not used to not being that beautiful girl. You don't have maybe the ability to transform into some other kind of female personality. And once your beauty's gone, if that's your greatest commodity. But that was never my calling card, even though as I said, I played attractive women, I still do, but you wouldn't think, oh, well, she's cast because she's so beautiful. So in an interesting way, character actresses, I've always considered myself a character actress. Character actresses and actors can have longer, more durable, and oddly enough, more interesting careers.
How have those roles throughout your career that were available to you changed, in terms of what you felt about what's available for, roles for women and the types of roles and things that you would be interested or proud to portray versus something that you might have felt like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I really, when I look back, I think I'm so lucky, particularly with television, because television definitely brought my quotient way up in terms of visibility. There's nothing like being on a show that everybody's watching and suddenly people know who you are. But I had worked in the theater really from 1974 to all through my 20s and 30s. I started doing Broadway, but I resisted doing television for years and years and years. I didn't want to do it because I wanted to be a theater actress, and then I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to raise my kids in LA. And I was always, resisting it. And I finally agreed to do a television show, almost kicking and screaming, against my will. I was so afraid of making the jump. But it was a show written by Chuck Lorre, who now is the most successful man writing in television. But at that time, he wasn't the Chuck Lorre, but he wrote this sitcom called Sybil. And the Carsey Warner Company had seen my work in the theater, and by the time they were meeting with me, I'd won a second Tony and a Neil Simon play. So they were really after me to do comedy. And
It's a nice place to be in.
yeah, it was nice, but I was very frightened of taking the jump. I thought, what if, at that time, television didn't have this cool thing it has now, which is it's filled with great, people writing in the medium, actors all want to work on television now. It kind of wasn't like that. Anyway, I did make the jump, and I was in my 40s. I mean, what woman goes to Hollywood in her 40s and then finally is the new girl in town? It usually doesn't happen that you're the new girl in town, but it did happen with this particular character, and she was...
Did you move your family there? Or you just
No, I
went for
commuted.
sure?
I'm always talking about this in interviews, but I had like 500,000 frequent flyer miles because I did not want to raise the kids in Hollywood, and my husband didn't either, so it was just always flying back and forth. And somehow we made that work, but the character was a really kind of wisecracking divorcee. It was the first time in American television you saw a woman who was drinking martinis consistently and making wisecracks, and so she was known for her kind of wit and her wardrobe and her
Before Sex and the City, of course, right?
Well, but this was
Yes.
before Sex and the
Yes.
City. This was even before Will and Grace. It was kind of like the AbFab, where the Joanna Lumley character. They didn't succeed in ever doing AbFab in the United States. It's an American version. But this character was that audacious, and it was very, very cool because it's hard when you get into your 40s. How are you going to be funny? And then when Good Wife came along, or I should say before it came along, I did have a conversation with my manager, and I said, the one thing I don't want to do is play a woman of a certain age. They write women over 50 as bitter, alcoholic, no life, the abandoned woman, or she's the mother or the grandmother. She's invariably some variation on an unhappy woman who somehow it's so unfortunate that now she's older. Or if you're in a sitcom, you're the butt of the joke. You're the older lady. And
Do you think this is specific to TV or also in film and stage?
I think it's film. I think it's changing a little. But when The Good Wife came along, I looked at that role and I said, oh my God, this is actually an intelligent, well-educated woman who's the head of a law firm. And she's in her 50s. Now she's in her 60s. I don't hide my age. It's totally cool. And I thought, wow, this woman is not going to be the butt of a joke, and she's not unhappy. And when the show started and the writers were writing her in the pilot, everybody said, oh, this is great. You're going to be the bitch in the show. You're going to be her adversary. And alarm bells went off in my head, and I thought, oh, here comes the stereotype. I'm going to be the bitchy boss.